This is the Sessions Salem Revere Banjo wall clock. It's a striking model. Most of them are just time only, but this is a striking model. Made in, I think, about 1927. It's got a lighthouse on it and a ship scene down the bottom. Unfortunately, it's got a crack there in the glass, you can see, and it's been very poorly mended. So I'm going to have a look at that and see if there's anything I can do about that. But the rest of the case isn't in too bad a shape. A little scratches along the line, but then if it's that old, you'd expect marking on the case. Undo the door. That's the end of the pendulum rod hanging there. That's the original pendulum that we'll see working on the clock later on. And the key that came with it is definitely not original. It's not even the right type of key, let alone the original one. But it does fit, so I guess that's why it was part of the deal when I bought it. Some of these clocks have a metal filigree work running down there on either side. This one hasn't. It's got a timber J-hook type of thing on it, but it's in pretty good nick actually. Up here we've got Arabic numerals. You can see the word session there, made in the USA, with an eagle finial on the top. So this is the clock that we're going to be working on. We'll take it to pieces. I'm going to do a restoration on it. The timber will need a little bit of care and attention, I would think. I'll turn the case over on its side, and you can see it's not in too bad a shape actually. And turning it right over, rolling it on its face as we come down. There's a hole there. I don't know what that's about at the moment, but we'll investigate that when we get there. Some scratching down here on the bottom. But that's our clock, and we're going to start taking that to pieces and see what we find inside. We'll start off by removing these couple of front pieces. The glass here with the Salem chip on it, and the glass here with the Lighthouse on it. We'll start off by removing those. Then we can access the internals of the clock. First up, we'll take the door with the Salem vessel on it. We'll take that off. Undo the screws here. Most of them are original brass screws, but naturally we've got one butchered Phillips head screw in here. Very poor replacement for the real deal. However, I'll take that out, and I've probably got replacements for that, I would think. They tend to be readily available at places where you buy clock parts. We don't really need a butchered Phillips head on there. Right, I'll take these other two off. Loosen them up with my screwdriver. They're not very long, a bit over ½ an inch out they come, maybe 5/8 or something I think. Now be careful of the door so we don't drop it and break it any further. We'll have a look and see what we got. Little bit of damage there, the original woodwork on it, and turn it over. Lovely sailing vessel on it. Alright, that's the first one. I'll put those screws aside, get another dish for the next lot. Now we're going to take out the section of timber here with the Lighthouse on it. I need a larger screwdriver for that. That one's too small. Blade length is too small. Alright, that's the correct size. I'll take those two screws out. I think that's about it. Getting pretty close. Yep, out he comes. Now the other one, which is a different one again. This looks like it may be original. We'll have a look and see. No, neither of those are original, and they're both different. Put them aside. Now carefully remove that section. Out it comes. Put that aside. Now we can see the coil gong in there that we couldn't see before. There's the gong, and there's the pendulum leader. Substantial length on it. We'll take the gong out once we get the movement out, I think, because I need to be able to get at the timber here to be able to do some work on it. And these two side pieces that you can see here, there's a screw there and there's one there, so I'll take those out while we're doing it, and we'll gradually strip it down because this is now going to be cleaned up. These are going to be removed, they're all going to be cleaned up. Then I'll put some of my mineral oil beeswax on, and that should bring it up rather nicely, I think. Alright, so what I'll do now is I'll take those two sides off, finding the screw down here. There we go, undo that. It's a bit tighter, that one. It's coming out though. Take that out. That may be original, I'm not sure. We'll have a look in a moment. Find the other one up here. That definitely isn't, it's way too shiny. I'd say that they're not. Alright, we'll take this guy off, holding the piece of timber so it doesn't fall over, break or anything else diabolical, and remove it. And there we go. There's the piece that came off. Not in too bad a shape, but we'll give that a little bit of a clean up when we restore it. Alright, now the other side, same thing. I'll turn the case round so we can see what we're doing, and get our screwdriver once again. Start off with the bottom one down here, get the screwdriver in, start turning it round. I think that's just about out. Being careful not to drop the clock because all the weight of the movement's down over the end of the bench now. That's the piece we've just taken off. Now we can start looking at taking the movement out. Alright, we're ready to start removing the movement now. The first thing we'll do with that, we'll have to take the hands off. There's a small knurl nut there. I'll have to pick it up with a pair of tweezers. There it is. And carefully taking the first hand off. Let's see what we've got. Well, it doesn't matter. It looks like about 12:30 with the hands. And then this one will be a pressure fit. Thumbnail underneath it. Turn it round and off it comes. Now, looking at the screws on here, that screw there, I would think it's an original. That looks like an original. That isn't. That one there might be. And that's a Phillips head. So you just know that that's not original. Alright, I'll take that off later on. No, I can't. I've got to take it off now so I can get at the movement. Alright, they'll have to come out. I'll get one of my little version screwdrivers and we'll start taking these screws out. Bit twisty and turny also. It's a little one, dome head, but it's not the same as the rest. So I think probably 2 of them or 3 of them are originals and the rest are also Rands. I would consider that to be an original and a second at that, because you can see the slot is not in the middle of the screw head. It's down about 1/3 of the way. And that one's loose anyway. Should just come out easily. There we go. And this guy down here will come out. What have we got there? Yeah, I think that's an original one. But this guy over here is guaranteed not to be. That's too big. I'll need a smaller driver for that. A Phillips head. So I'll hold the glass and bezel so we don't lose it while removing that shocking screw in it. Dear oh dear, I'll replace that later. I should have one in stock, I would think. That's the original glass and bezel. Generous amounts of solder on it, which may or may not be original. A little bit of a polish on that with some fine steel wool. I would think if I run around that, it'll certainly remove some grime from it. Yes, it's polishing up a little bit there, you can see. And the glass will need to be cleaned, but it's original and that's a plus. So I'll put that aside. Don't want that Phillips head screwdriver. Now we just lift the face plate straight up. Up it comes. Sessions, made in the USA. And there's our movement inside there. still a little bit of power in the movement. See what we got. Dropping into a deep slot. Looks like we might have an easy 3, 4. Alright, we might have an easy service this time. It may not need repairing. We'll see once we get up here. Alright, now I'll start off by taking the crutch and the pallets out. It's down a bit. I'll lift that up. Where's a pair of pliers to do that? I think it's dropped in slightly. There we go. And I'll move that back so that I can get the crutch and the pallets out. I'll just slide up and at the same time bringing up the suspension spring. Almost there. That's got him. Now we can remove that. And there we go. What are the pallets like? Not too bad actually. Somebody stoned them recently or at some stage, so that's alright. Alright, now we can take the movement out and also the gong. I'll start off by removing the 4 big screws in there holding the movement in, and then we'll take the gong off. I'll remove these screws now that are holding the movement in place. I imagine they'll be pretty short, relatively thin timber on the case. Almost, not quite. Half a thread holding it, I think. And the answer to that is yes, and I've just dropped it on the floor and recovered it. Right, put that there. We'll get these out of the road. See if we can get in there with a pair of tweezers. Not quite right yet. Right, part of a turn. That should have him. Yep, 2. Now, in the top, up here, wind him out. Should be loose, I would think. And the 4th one, which is over here, and a bit harder to see where the slot in the head is because of the lack of light. I think that's got him. Spin him round. It should be well and truly out. Now let's have a look at lifting up the movement, which raises the question, how do you get that out of there? Alright, I wonder if this top comes off. Alright, that's time for me to have a look. I'll take a moment and I'll have a look and see how I'm going to get the movement out.
Now you know how the J-hook works. After watching lesson 4 in this series, we'll look at how the lift lever works in conjunction with the J-hook.
So the 3 things that we must have set up properly for an American clock movement to work. First up, that's the top of the count wheel. The count lever must be resting in a deep slot